Planning a trip where it's just your opinion can be a little stressful, but planning a trip where you've got three different opinions that all have to play into it, and that takes it to a whole new level. And this is where I found myself earlier this year planning a sister trip with my two sisters. We each had different ideas of what we wanted to do, and so although we agreed on some aspects, we didn't fully agree on everything. And so I thought, if I could afford a travel agent that would do all this research for me, I totally would hire one. So why not use AI as my travel agent? And that's what gave me the idea to use ChatGPT to help us plan this trip. In this episode, I am breaking down how I used ChatGPT to plan our entire sister trip, which was a week long, and I'm going to talk about what it did really well and what it didn't do so well. Welcome to AI for Mompreneurs. This podcast is for moms who are tired of doing everything the hard way. You're running a business, managing a home, caring for your children, and making a million decisions daily. Exhausted, overwhelmed, burned out, and out of time. Another planner won't fix it. More productivity hacks won't either. I know because I've been there. I'm Samantha Welch, a wife, a mom to 3 daughters, homeschooling my girls and my niece, running multiple businesses, and managing my 40-acre farm. I've burned myself out more times than I can count trying to do it all with excellence. The game changer, AI. When I learned how to use AI as my personal assistant, everything shifted. I finally had systems that worked, clarity in my business, and more time for what actually matters. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Learn how AI can take the mental load off your plate so you can focus on what truly matters most. No tech jargon or complicated setups here. Just AI that works for mamas just like us. Are you ready? Let's dive in. So one sister wanted the East Coast because of lighthouses and the beach and everything. Another one was talking about, let's go on a cruise. Let's just have a sister cruise. And then I was leaning towards something that was a little bit more historical. I was thinking like an old city, and some things that came to mind, like Charlotte, North Carolina, or Williamsburg, Virginia. It was just, I had some of those ideas in my head. And so I pulled that all together and I gave ChatGPT the details. I told her that we were planning a late summer trip. I said that we had a minimal budget because we didn't really want to spend a whole lot of money each. I also listed out where we had already been, whether together or each of us individual, because one thing we definitely agreed on is we wanted something different. And then I told it that we didn't want to travel more than a day away. So it needed to be somewhere we could drive to, and it wasn't like over a day drive. And so it came back with a list of ideas. Some of them were like very close to home, and I was like, I don't really want to stay in the same state. Like, it'd be nice if we could get out of state. But there was a few that really stood out, and so I narrowed it down and I asked it to combine the best parts, and that's how we landed on Savannah, Georgia. So ChatGPT sold us on Savannah with its descriptions like Spanish moss trees, rich history, good food, walkable city, and most of the sites were free or very budget friendly. It's also a city that's close to the beach, like only about an hour and a half drive, and so it ended up ticking all of our boxes. From there, I asked it to help me plan the trip details. And that's whenever, through a course of prompting and trying to figure out like the best place to stay, what would be safe, what else we could do, because there's really only like a couple days maybe that you'd want to spend in Savannah, but you'd want to do other things. That's when we decided to stay on St. Simon Island, and then also to visit Jekyll Island with its driftwood beaches, which turned out to be so cool. And originally we had planned a day trip to Tybee Island as well, but we ended up changing that to taking a ferry over to Cumberland Island, where they had like a ruin of an old historical mansion and wild horses on the island, and that ended up being probably one of our favorite parts of the trip. So after we had decided on where we wanted to go, I asked ChatGPT to help build me an itinerary. So I told it how many days we planned to be gone, So in this case, we were going to have 5 good days to do things. I wanted it to estimate the cost per sister because we were splitting it 3 ways. I wanted it to suggest affordable, good Airbnbs, and then highlight the best things to do at each location that we had decided on with budget in mind. And it actually broke it down really well. I was really surprised by how accurate it got of cost estimate, which was about $1,000 per sister. Now, I didn't end up booking the exact Airbnbs that it had suggested, but its recommendations pointed me in the right direction, and I was able to find a super cute little house on St. Simon Island that was under $1,000 for the 6 nights that we stayed. So that was absolutely perfect, and the house was just the right size for the 3 of us. So let's talk about some things that didn't work very well when it came to using ChatGPT to plan the trip. The biggest issue was ChatGPT's timing. The itineraries it gave us were way too packed. Like, technically possible if you didn't account for extra drive time, traffic, or walking at a slower pace. It was not really realistic for a relaxed vacation. If you were trying to cram everything you possibly could into a vacation, I could see it working pretty well, but I felt like it was a little bit tight. But I think that I could have actually fixed that, and in hindsight, I would, by just actually telling it to double the drive time. I would give it basically the average speed that we would probably walk, and then say to take into consideration the fact that we will probably spend more time at locations you might think. And then I think it would have done a lot better with breaking it down and giving us an itinerary that was a lot more relaxed. But we adjusted on the fly and honestly used the itinerary as more of a guideline idea and not a set in stone. Like, for example, we loved Jekyll Island so much that we went twice, even though that wasn't in the original plan. We also realized that the riverboat cruise, which this was another thing that I felt like Chat didn't get right very well, that the riverboat cruise ended up being way more expensive than we had estimated. So we swapped that out for visiting the Prohibition Museum in Savannah, which ended up being quite a highlight. It was like you went through the museum and learn all about that history, and then at the end you were taken into this kind of tavern type thing and you were served up a Prohibition era drink. So that was really fun, kind of a cool experience, and we ended up trading that out instead of doing the riverboat cruise. Some things that I felt like that ChatGPT did really well when it came to planning out the trip is that it kept our budget in mind. It did really good at giving a lot of ideas, and they all were within our budget, which I felt like was great because sometimes it will just randomly give things and you're like, what are you even thinking? But it did a really good job at keeping all of the suggestions within the budget that we wanted. So I was very, very happy with that. And we were able to then stay in budget. And so that made me very happy. It also did a really good job, which kind of goes with the budget, but kind of not, but it gave a good job at giving really creative options. So I felt like it kind of thought outside the box. And instead of just saying like what you would feel like would be a little average, like, oh, take a stroll through such and such park in Savannah, it actually gave like a little bit more detail of here's what you can see in the park, here's what you can do, here's why this would be cost effective. So I thought it did a really good job at giving creative options so that we weren't just kind of following the same flow as all the other tourists. Another thing that it just did amazing at, and honestly this was worth everything, is that it saved me so much research time. I cannot tell you how much time it would have taken me to search everything out, to figure out where we even wanted to go, and then be like, okay, well, what's good to eat there? Because another thing that Chat did really well is it was able to analyze the top rated restaurants and give us options on where we could eat lunch and dinner, which was kind of what we had decided. We were just going to do like a brunch and then a big dinner. So it did really well with doing that and giving us some amazing options on that. So it saved me so much research time because honestly, I wouldn't have even known where to start looking. And then once I had finally figured that out, it would be like, well, what all is there? And you'd be doing all these searching and reading all these blogs and everything. And it would just have taken hours to figure out what we even wanted to do. Versus instead, I was able just to give a prompt out and say, this is what we're looking for. This is the kind of things, this is the budget, etc., etc. And it spit those things out. And like I said, it did really well giving us great creative options. I would say that using ChatGPT to plan our sister trip, I would give it 5 stars. I mean, it didn't do it perfectly, but it gave us such a great starting point. It gave us a good itinerary that we were able to be flexible with. And most importantly, it took the overwhelm out of the process and gave me a clear starting point and then helped us actually pull together a plan that worked for us so well. So if you have a trip coming up or really any big project that just feels super overwhelming, try using Chat just to do the heavy lifting. It's not going to get everything right, and you're going to tweak it, and you may even be like, hey, this isn't even realistic, or let's revisit this. But it will give you a framework that you can build from, and that is totally worth it. Yeah, that is how we ended up with probably one of the most fun sister trips we have ever had. And I will definitely be using my assistant, ChatGPT, to plan our next trip. Before I close out this episode, I have got to tell you some exciting news that is happening over in my membership. The first thing is that the membership is going to get a new name, and it's going to be the same as this podcast, AI for Mompreneurs. And we are going to laser focus in this membership on how to use and how not to use AI. It's going to be so amazing. Our first training drops in October. And so if you have not joined the membership yet, it is not too late to get in on the very first training and coaching call and everything. And with this first training, I'm so excited about it because I am going to be teaching you how to take better photos with your phone that can be used to brand your business, because I believe that AI has no place in creating images, that we want to have images for our business that are real and authentic so that we will connect with our client. Because I don't know about you, but when I have been scrolling social media lately, I have been kind of frustrated with the lack of realness. And whenever I do see a picture that is real, that is actually somebody's real life, it immediately makes me connect with them. And so we're going to learn about how to take better photos that will stop someone's scroll, and then also highlight who you actually are and your business. But don't worry, I am also going to teach along with that how to use AI to get to the point where you even know what to take pictures of. So if you are not part of the membership, I would love so much for you to join. The link will be in the show notes. And until next time, go make AI work for you. That's it for today's episode. I hope you learned something new or had a breakthrough. If you loved this episode, take a second to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It lets me know you're enjoying this content and helps more moms find it. And if you know another mama who's struggling with overwhelm and burnout, share this with her. Let's spread the word that AI isn't just for corporate executives or tech nerds, it's for moms like us. Until next time, go make AI work for you.